When it comes to the 2025 NBA draft, most of the talk is around Cooper Flagg, but there are plenty of other standout prospects, and Dylan Harper is definitely one of them. In my opinion, he's the best point guard in the entire country and is a consensus top 3 pick. He was a 5-star recruit coming out of high school and considered the #1 point guard, so it's safe to say the hype surrounding his freshman season at Rutgers was massive, and despite not having the most team success, Dylan has more than lived up to the expectations. I mean, we just saw him possibly have the best performance of his entire season against the University of Washington. He finished that game with 34 points, 5 rebounds, and 3 assists in a 4-point win. Dylan was absolutely unstoppable. He was bullying defenders to the rim and was even able to hit 4 threes in the process. There was literally nothing the opposing team could do to stop him. Then his defense was equally as good. He made his presence felt on both sides of the floor. And this wasn't a one-time thing either. He did the exact same thing against Notre Dame. He ended that night with 36 of the team's 65 points, along with 6 rebounds and 6 assists in a 1-point win. Again, he was simply bullying them in the paint, and anytime another defender tried to help on him, he kicked to an open teammate. His vision was off the charts in this game, and as a guard, he was able to score 10 different times from within the 3-point line. Dylan single-handedly carried Rutgers to a win. If you really want to see how good he can be, then this is the one you want to watch. But it doesn't end there. To make everything I said even crazier, the very next day he scored 37 points against Alabama, who right now is ranked as the 4th best team in the entire country. If you weren't sold on him after the Notre Dame game, then you definitely should have been after this one. He was tearing apart Alabama's defense every time he drove to the hoop. Plus, he only took 3 3-pointers and didn't make any of them. He scored all of those points in the paint or mid-range. That, or he got fouled and sent to the free throw line where he knocked down 15 of his 16 free throws. I wouldn't really call him a foul baiter. This dude is just so strong when he's going downhill, they almost have to foul him to slow him down. It was yet another very impressive performance. That's back-to-back 36-plus point games, and that was at the very beginning of the season too. Both of those games were in November. And I'm not even going to go deeper into his triple-double against Columbia, his 28-point game against Illinois, or his game winner against Seton Hall. He's a legit prospect and has such a mature play style for someone that's only 18 years old. Although it does help when your dad is a 5-time NBA champion. Dylan has had his ups and downs throughout the season, but he's also dealt with a few minor injuries, and apparently the flu is wreaking havoc all over college basketball. And even with all that being said, he's still one of the more consistent players this season, especially when he's healthy. So far, he's been averaging just over 19 points, 5 rebounds, and 4 assists, which are obviously really good numbers for a freshman guard, but he's also shooting 48% from the field and 33% from deep. Those are promising numbers across the board. Then you have to remember that Dylan is a 6'5" point guard, and on top of being bigger than your typical guard, he's a lot stronger than he looks. He doesn't have a massive frame, yet he can still get by defenders with his physicality pretty easily. Although sometimes he's able to bully opposing guards on his drives, a lot of the time he's simply using his body to dictate where the defender goes, which allows him to create just enough space. His body control is easily one of the things that stands out to me the most. It's almost like Cade Cunningham. He can bully you driving downhill, but he also knows how to use his body to shield off defenders. It's a skill a lot of the guys in the NBA don't even have. Dylan isn't really what you would call a high flyer, so the fact that he's able to score in the paint so consistently is extremely impressive. Don't get me wrong though, he can dunk anything at any given moment, it's just not his go-to, and he doesn't need it to be able to finish. But that's only one aspect of his game. Although he definitely is a drive-first player, he can still knock down threes and certain types of mid-range shots. Like I said, he's shooting 33% from 3 while taking 5 a game, which is a decent amount. Plus he's had 7 games where he's made at least 3 of them. And even though they aren't his go-to shot, it's not like he's afraid to take them. Dylan shoots with confidence and doesn't need to be wide open to be able to knock them down. We've seen him pull up off the dribble, whether that's within the offense or even in transition. He knows how to create enough space for him to get his shot off and will simply shoot right over you. Honestly, it might be a good thing that he's a drive-first player, because we tend to see him settle for threes a lot less than other high-usage guards. But that leads me right into another part of his game that's really strong, and that's his ball handling. He has a really tight handle when he's dribbling, and when you combine that with his body control, it's very difficult to stop. He doesn't over-dribble either. Sometimes you see high-level guards do too much, but most of the time, Dylan's dribble dribbles are actually purposeful. He only does what he needs to do to get open, plus he can recognize when something's not there and doesn't try to force it up anyways. He usually always takes what the defense gives him. His entire offensive game is pretty well rounded, there's not a whole lot that he can't do. He's always calm and collected and knows how to play with pace. Plus he actually shows up when the team needs him most. If they need to score, Dylan will make something happen. Some people shy away from big time moments, but as we've seen several times this season alone, he definitely does not. And he's honestly good on defense too. There's times where he doesn't look the best when he's guarding certain players, but for the most part, he's a good perimeter defender. And he has a 6'10" wingspan, which helps him contest shots in the paint. I wouldn't classify him as a top tier defender, but I don't think he's going to be a problem on defense like I've seen some people talking about. And I honestly think once he's on a team with better overall players, his numbers are only going to go up. I'm not saying this Rutgers team is terrible, but they're definitely not good. He's obviously playing alongside another future top 5 pick in Ace Bailey, but other than them two, they don't have a ton of support. It's very difficult for two freshmen to carry an entire team, especially playing in the Big Ten. It's not like they're playing in some mediocre conference. But Dylan's been the engine for Rutgers. When he's not on the floor, it looks like a whole different team. I mean, he's missed 3 games this year, and it took Ace Bailey scoring 40 to keep them competitive. The way he's able to command the offense and make things happen out of nowhere can't just easily be replaced. And that's exactly what makes him such a good prospect. I've seen people saying that he should be drafted with the 1st overall pick instead of Cooper Flagg. And while personally I wouldn't go that far, I get it. He's a fun player to watch, and I'm really curious to see how his game translates to the NBA. He already looks pro ready, and while that doesn't always mean it's going to be a seamless transition, it's never a bad thing to be. I know this draft has been considered the Cooper Flagg sweepstakes, but Dylan's a player I would be more than happy with getting. His mentality and the way he is on the court tells me everything I need to know about him. There are multiple tanking teams that he could end up with, like the Wizards, Hornets, Raptors, Jazz, and Pelicans. He'd fit better with some teams over others, but I feel like he'll fit in just fine wherever. Obviously, the best case scenario is a team where he can actually have the ball in his hands consistently, but we've seen him look good off the ball too, so I'm not very worried about it. No matter what, he's gonna get his touches either way. Right now, he's definitely my 2nd best prospect in the draft, and I think that's been the consensus. There are a lot of really good players in this upcoming draft, so to go that high and to be considered as the best point guard in the entire country is a big deal. All while playing on a team that hasn't even put him in the best position to show how good he can really be. This class isn't like the one from last year. There are multiple big names, so as long as you get a top 5 pick, you're going to get someone with a lot of promise. And from here on out, we'll see how he finishes the season. But if you want to know more about this Rutgers team, I do have an Ace Bailey video I uploaded about a month ago, so check that out as well. And let me know what you think about Dylan Harper in the comments, and please leave a like on the video to support the channel. Also, subscribe if you're new for more basketball videos just like this one.